Hey everyone, welcome to Can't Afford to Record, the YouTube channel where we figure out the art of audio production together. A lot of production work that I do is mixing remotely. So people have recorded and tracked their music and their songs in their home studio or perhaps a commercial studio. They have the files and then they send them to me to mix, which is awesome. It means you can work with people 20 miles down the road or you can work with people halfway across the world. And over the past few years, I've relied on some really awesome plugins and websites that have made this a much easier process for me. So I want to share them with you today. I hope you get something out of it. Let's dive into the plugins. Trigger 2 by Steven Slate Drums. No, it doesn't have to be this plugin specifically. It could be any drum trigger software. However, I really recommend you do have some kind of trigger plugin. And the reason is we are not in control sometimes of what's being sent to us. So if you get the audio for the drums and the snare is absolutely terrible, do you want to spend the next hour EQing it to make it sound just a little bit better for the song, or can we just slap a sample on there and move on a little bit quicker? I don't think people will like the way I said slap a sample on there, but hopefully you understand what I mean. I think people take a real pride in being able to say, oh yeah, this mix had no samples. And I think that holds more weight when you are the one that's recorded it or engineered the session. And then, yeah, I kind of get it. There was a real intentional process. You spent a lot of time putting the mics in a certain way to get the best possible drum sound. I'm not really recording drums, I'm mixing them. So if I know a song is going to sound better with a sampled kick rather than the one that I have, I'm going to use a sample and I'm going to move on through the song. Trigger 2 is a really great plugin. It's very easy to use. I think they're about to come out anytime now with the latest version of Trigger. But this is the one I use. I paid for the $99 version. Don't forget there is a free version. It has limited samples and I don't believe you can add your own. But it might just save your mix if you are dealing with some less than ideal drum sounds. Speaking about less than ideal, let's talk about some more rescue software. Now, I use a plugin bundle by a company called Accusonus, who I don't believe are still running a business. And because of that, they gave out licenses to this plugin bundle. I'm really glad I got hold of them because the suite of plugins you get is absolutely incredible. Everything from de-reverbs, plosive remover, mouth declicker. I use this one all the time. It's a fantastic plugin. They're all pretty straightforward. As you can see, they're like one knob plugins, but they do the job really, really well. I will say though, if you manage to get hold of the installer and you get these plugins, it's out there. You can go and find it still. I think it's on archive.net or whatever. Just understand there is no further support for these plugins and there are no more updates. So if you change your operating system sometime and these plugins don't work, that's why. And if you ever need to recall an old session where you were perhaps using them a lot, that could mean that you run into some issues if they no longer work. It's a nice thing to have some plugins that if you get sent some audio that just is not what you need, then you can at least make it a bit better and then you can further process that audio without exacerbating the artifacts that were already there. And lastly, Melodyne. Now you can use whatever vocal tuning software you like. I ended up with Melodyne because I got the free version of it with a Pro Tools subscription. Or maybe it's not even the free version, maybe it's just the cheapest version, but it came free because I had a prescription, Jesus Christ, because I had a subscription for it. And then in the last Black Friday sale, they were doing discounts on their upgrade fees. So I managed to upgrade to the mid-tier level of Melodyne, whatever that might be, for $49. Very, very reasonable. Now, of course, I use Melodyne to tune vocals in a manner that it was designed for. But I do also use it to completely change the melody of a vocal. Let's say I have more of a producer standpoint on a song, or I'm helping arrange or compose parts of a song. I might take a scratch vocal that I have and completely change the melody of it to better suit the music that's happening behind it. This obviously will sound terrible when you're doing extreme moves like this, but it is enough to give the client or the artist an idea of maybe a new melody that I'm thinking about, and that they can use that as a reference before they start tracking the real thing. I also use it to design backing vocals and harmonies, even just from scratch vocals that I've been sent. You can quite easily change the melody and make some really nice backing vocal ideas, and you can send that across and that can all go into consideration. They were the plugins. Let's check out the websites that I use all the time. When I'm about to work with someone, I send out this document that I made in Google Docs, and it basically outlines my expectation of how I would like the audio delivered to me. And I'm really just outlining things like making sure that the tracks are named correctly. It's really obvious what the track is. I don't have to listen to it and then find a place for it. I know it is a bass guitar, or I know it's a keyboard, etc. And how I might want the audio bounced. For example, some DAWs bounce everything in a stereo file by default, and I want it as a mono file. It's not the end of the world, but if you can have it sent in the way that you like, then that would be wonderful. So I usually ask for that sort of stuff too. And then just how I would like it delivered to me. I would like all the vocals in a vocal folder, bass guitar in a bass folder, etc. Yeah, it just makes things very, very easy for me to see and to get straight into the session and to start mixing the song. Most people are very happy to make sure that everything is how you would like it, because of course, if you could be mixing the song quicker, they're going to get their song back quicker. And so it works out for everyone. Feel free to check out what I've written and what I send out to people. However, I am changing this all the time. So maybe just use it as some inspiration, and you might be able to adapt it and change it to fit your workflow. But I will say, I wish I started doing this a lot sooner. Speaking about sending files, I use WeTransfer.com, and I do pay for the premium version of it. However, it's really, really helpful. So a lot of people will send me the tracks via Google Drive link, and that's absolutely fine. But when you pay for the premium version of WeTransfer, you get your very own personal WeTransfer link. And that means I can send clients that link and they can just upload all the audio and it goes straight into my account. And they do not have to have a premium membership to do this, which is really cool. So I can send them the link, they can fill it up with 10 gigabytes if they like, and doesn't cost them a dime. If you are using a free version of WeTransfer, I think there might be a 2 gigabyte limit or a 4 gigabyte limit. I can't really remember. But anyways, this allows you to just receive big files if you need them. And I think it looks professional too, giving the client a place where they can upload the audio to. I think it works really nicely. And then of course, when you are sending the finished mix back, it's likely to be more than 25 megabytes if you're going to be supplying something that's a .wav file. So using WeTransfer is great for that. I believe they also now have a paywall system, so you can get the money before they're able to get the download link. I really don't know much more about it than that. However, could be cool. And then lastly, a website that I use all the time is 7digital.com. This is where I go and get my high quality reference tracks from. And there's honestly nothing really special about this website compared to other ones, other than it's really easy to just buy the music. Sometimes you can't just buy individual songs and they make it that you have to buy the whole album. Every now and then that happens and I have to perhaps find a different way because I might not want the whole album. But more often than not, a single song is like $1.29 Canadian dollars. You buy it, they send you a download link, and you've got it. And then you have that reference track forever. I go and put it in a specific folder, and then I can always come back to it if I want it, and I'm building up a nice collection of reference tracks for my mixes. So those are some of the most commonly used plugins and websites that I use day to day for mixing remotely. Perhaps you know of some hidden gems in terms of plugins or websites that we should all know about for this kind of stuff. Please feel free to leave it in a comment below. Thanks so much for watching today's video. If you liked it, you're more than welcome to leave me a thumbs up. It really helps out the channel. And if you like it more than that, you can subscribe right here on Can't Afford to Record. And I'll see you soon.